So, Michael, it's almost Christmas, and of course, for our cold open, that means we've got to discuss whether Die Hard is a Christmas movie. That seems like something that we could discuss that could be fun, right?
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, it's never ever been. I think it's quite a novel debate, But I am always reminded that we actually established that Die Hard was not even released around Christmas, which is pretty strong evidence against it being a Christmas movie. They didn't even bother to release it then.
Christmas, though, is central to the plot because the only reason why McClane is over in Los Angeles is because of Christmas. If it wasn't Christmas, he wouldn't be over there. So I think that puts it back in its favour. Everyone listening, I hope they're enjoying this. But yeah, anyway, it's Christmas. Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, and yeah, Die Hard.
Yes. But since it was when Jesus was born, it should be called Born Hard. Hello and welcome to Select and Reflect, the movie review podcast where we look at films that have come out in the near and distant past. We give them a couple of watches and evaluate them beyond first impressions. I'm your host Michael and I'm joined as always by my co-host Luke. And this week we are celebrating the release of West Side Story, the re-West Side Story-ing by looking at the original West Side Story. So, and also, am I right in saying is it as well a 60-year anniversary?
It is, Michael.
Yes, I'm good.
You know what it is, and this is what was so exciting, and I thank God for the COVID-19 pandemic, because of course what happened was this movie was originally meant to be released last year, or the updated modern West Side Story, directed by Steven Spielberg, but of course, because of the pandemic, it couldn't be released in December 2020, so it's been pushed back a whole year to line it up with its 60-year anniversary, as it should have happened in the first place. I don't know why.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, 59 years after its release. Just make sure it's 60. So thank God for COVID in that. Everything lines up nicely. The 60-year anniversary of West Side Story and the release of the new Steven Spielberg version. And of course, how could we not mention one of the original people who was responsible for West Side Story, unfortunately passed away. Stephen Sondheim passed away on the 26th of November.
So that was good. And if he died from COVID, that would give COVID another thing that makes it awesome.
And you said it's good, Michael.
Oh, sorry, I just meant it was good because, because all I care about is the appropriate timing of the releases of our West Side Story things.
Yes, it's like when, what's he called? The Schumacher guy, Joel Schumacher, when he died just like a week after we were to review Batman Returns, I think.
Yeah. With
Val Kilmer. But yeah, so Stephen Sondheim, who did the lyrics for the original Broadway musical West Side Story. So yeah, he passed away recently. There you go.
Yes.
Should
have been Lin-Manuel Miranda. Am I right?
You know what? I'm not going to disagree with that. It should have been Lin-Manuel Miranda.
That's what I'm going to say whenever anyone dies going forwards.
Yeah, it should have been Lin-Manuel Miranda. Yeah, he's had the better Puerto Rican style musical. Steven Sondheim or Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I'm going to go with the person who did a good one.
Yeah, okay, that's good. Yeah. So anyway, West Side Story is a 1961 American musical romantic drama film directed by Robert Wise and Jerome Robbins with a screenplay by Ernest Lehman. The film is an adaptation of the 1957 Broadway musical of the same name, which in turn was inspired by Shakespeare's play Romeo and Juliet. What?
Oh, wow.
So if you think about this new Steven Spielberg...
It's a remake of a remake. Well, it's a bit like the Lion King remake, right? Like, that was kind of Hamlet.
Yeah, but there wasn't... There's another layer. It's a remake of a musical, which is a modern remake of a classic Shakespeare tale. It's gone through so many alterations. So anyway, the movie, of course, stars Natalie Wood. Natalie Wood. That's confusing to me, Michael, because that is not a Spanish name.
Yeah, that is interesting, actually.
Yeah, it's
Well, I'm going to assume Natalie Wood, in fact, played Tony. It's the only logical explanation.
If there was a female person at the top of the starring, that would imply that Maria was played by Natalie Wood. But of course, Natalie Wood, she's not Spanish, so that's confusing to me. But we'll get onto that later. Richard Beymer, Rita Moreno. Now that's a Spanish name. That's a good old Spanish name, Rita Moreno. George Chakris.
George Soros.
Why would you think that?
I don't know, it's just because you said you went before you went to say you went George,
No.
and then you stopped yourself. And I thought you were just going to commit anti-Semitic conspiracies.
No, George Chakiris. That's a weird surname, I have to say, but hopefully I didn't butcher it too badly. And Russ Tamblyn. The movie was released on October the 18th, 1961. So yes, over 60 years ago. Michael, can you tell me what the budget is for West Side Story?
No, I cannot. I don't know, like 4 million.
You know what? Not a bad guess.
Okay.
It's under by a bit, but you know what? It's not the worst guess ever. $6.75 million is the budget. And can you tell me what the box office is?
Well, I mean, I do know this film won Best Picture. I say, as I think, do I know that? I'm pretty sure it did.
Yes, I was going to get onto that, Michael. But
goody,
yes,
goody. Yeah,
I'll just tell you since you brought it up. It was nominated for 11 Academy Awards and won 10, including Best Picture.
Yeah. Well, obviously, all of this would strongly imply, it's a classic and all that. It would all strongly imply it did well. Now, having said that, I don't want to go over the top. I'm thinking, like, percentage-wise, it made $6 million. So, I mean, maybe it made 10 times that back. I mean, that's not terrible. And I think it sounds kind of reasonable. So, 60 million?
You know what? I thought you were going to say 10 million. I was like, what the fuck? But thankfully you said 10 times its money back, which, again, it's not as much, actually. It only made 44 million. But again, not the worst guess ever. So, yeah, that's still very profitable, of course. So, Michael, can you tell me whether you liked West Side Story?
Well, I think I have implied in a number of ways that I liked it, and also explicitly said it was a good film. And yeah, I'm very skeptical about its remake thing, because I was like, why would you remake this film? Overall, yeah, I like this film. I have, I think, some criticisms. Interestingly, I'm very kind of aware of what my specific criticisms are, but overall, my general thing is, I like the film, I like the music, like the kind of all the filmmaking stuff going on. It's a little bit goofy in terms of, like, I guess the performances, but that's sort of just because it's a musical. And obviously you could say the plot's a bit thin, but that's kind of just because it's a musical. Overall, I liked it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I liked it, I have to say. I think overall I would not watch this again. It's just not that good.
Well, I've become more fond of it ever since you implied that they racistly refused to hire a Latina person to play the role. You just got to respect that level of commitment to your racism.
All I'm saying it's funny is how they talk about the Puerto Ricans on one side. Oh, can't we just all come together? And the main Puerto Rican is actually white. But you know what? That's it's the 1960s. I guess you can't actually put a lead Puerto Rican in your movie explaining how Puerto Ricans are actually humans and deserve respect in America.
Well,
come on now.
To be fair, at least Natalie Wood didn't play Genghis Khan.
Yes, and and then she, of course, died in suspicious circumstances. I believe that was what she went on to do. That's what she was famous for. You heard that, Michael?
No, I didn't know that she. No. I didn't even know Natalie Wood was even. Well, to be fair, I mean, I'm part of the group of people to whom this whole Natalie Wood being the person who played Maria, it was kept secret from me. This big conspiracy that there's racism in Hollywood.
Okay, yes. I'm just having a look at her death because it's interesting to me. Where is it? Alleged rape? No. Okay, so fucking hell. The death section on Wikipedia has about 6 paragraphs. Bloody hell. So basically, she was on a weekend boat trip to an island, and she apparently drowned, although the circumstances are unknown. It was never determined how she entered the water. Wood was with her husband, Robert Wagner, and a Brainstorm co-star, Christopher Walken. Happened in 1981. So, there you go.
Sounds like one of those no-good Puerto Ricans got to her.
Yes. I'm just looking. I mean, there's so much info. If you're interested in that, but yeah, maybe she was murdered by her husband, but nobody knows. And even if she had done, it's Hollywood. These kind of things happen.
That's true.
Yeah. Anyway, so okay, so yeah, I don't really like this movie that much. I have to say, and I'll get into why, but it's just kind of. I can see again, like these old movies. For the time, it's like, oh, this is so good. This is groundbreaking. It's it's a classic, and I get that. I appreciate that, but I just think again, these kind of movies, they're classics because not that many movies were being produced, and if you do something special with the colors and everything, and all the direction, it's going to get a lot of praise, and then you look back on it and it's like, oh yeah, it's decent, that's how I look at it, but yeah, anyway. So, Michael, nitpicks now, how many do you have?
I've only got one.
Okay, I've got one and a nitpick. So you go first.
And it's very much a nitpick, which is just that intro was bloody ridiculously long. It's like you have to just skip the first 5 minutes where just nothing's happening. It's literally just I was almost wondering if this was a problem with my recording, and maybe about to it was, but it's just a static image. Not credits or anything.
That is it, yeah. I mean, I didn't put it because, I enjoyed the orchestral music in the background, but...
Yeah, but you've got to bear in mind, I have listened to the West Side Story soundtrack thousands of times in my life on repeat, so I just, I can listen to it anytime.
Why have you done that?
Oh, just a classic, isn't it? Because it's like all the bangers.
What? Name one banger that isn't American.
Boy like that, they killed your brother. Forget that boy and find another. I also like
That's a great line to be
dum 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 Mambo song.
Okay, Mambo. Right, so Maria's parents, this is my nitpick, want her to be quieter, but then she and Tony launch into a full-blown song seconds later, which I found funny. But anyway, so that's my nitpick, and my nitpick is Vamos muchachos is such a cool thing to say.
Surely, does that mean like let's go a lot, which is fun?
I don't know. I know obviously vamos is let's go, but I thought muchachos would be like friends or something. I don't know.
I mean, obviously, like, because I'm just thinking, like, because mucho, means a lot. So, I don't know.
Muchachos. What about a lot means like the group? Come on, let's go group.
Yeah, let's go big group. Yeah, that works.
What does muchachos mean? It says here it means girls. Although, is that just because I typed in the feminine spelling?
Yeah, maybe if you typed in muchachos, I don't know.
Why would fucking Google Translate is so shit? It won't let me just change one letter. I have to type in the whole thing again. It's going to be boys. I bet it is. That's the only thing it can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
muchachos.
Muchachos. Yeah.
A young man or woman, a male or alternatively a male or female servant. That's nice.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, but that's again such a cool thing to say. Vamos muchachos sounds so much better than let's go boys. Let's go boys.
Let's go boys. Let's go boys sounds much more gay.
So maybe vamos muchachos sounds like that in Spanish.
Vamos muchachos.
Oh, vamos muchachos. Anyway, so let's talk about the concept for this movie, Michael. West Side Story. Of course, it was originally a Broadway musical that was inspired by Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. The story is set in the mid-1950s in the Upper West Side of New York City. This is from Wikipedia. Then a multiracial blue-collar neighborhood.
That makes sense. Because now it's just become... Now all the honkies moved in.
Yeah. Well, a certain type of honky, because it can still be blue-collar if there's honkies there. But, the musical explores the rivalry between the Jets and the Sharks, two teenage street gangs of different ethnic backgrounds. The members of the Sharks from Puerto Rico are taunted by the Jets, a white gang. The young protagonist, Tony, a former member of the Jets and best friend of the gang's leader, Riff, falls in love with Maria, the sister of Bernardo, the leader of the Sharks. So, the dark theme, sophisticated music, extended dance scenes, and focus on societal problems marked a turning point in musical theatre. Again, this goes back to what I was saying on whether I liked it or not. The fact is that this was something that was revolutionary at the time because, of course, the dark theme, people, even though Romeo and Juliet existed beforehand and had for hundreds of years, but whatever, the
but
music...
that was just between white people. It doesn't count.
Okay. So the extended dance scenes and, of course, the focus on societal problems, American Broadway theatre, it got a shot in the arm with this. And, again, looking back, I can see why, if it was the first, musical to do things like this, people really loved it, and it's a classic. But it is what it is. And yes, I do like. By the way, there was another blurb I saw, which is in the slums of the Upper West Side of Manhattan, which again, it's just funny. It's just how most things.
I can't believe that Manhattan ever had poor people in it.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah, they really sorted that out.
Yeah, to be fair, as we know from what's that fucking musical from Lin-Manuel Miranda?
Oh, In the Heights.
In the Heights. Da 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 da. That is, was it what in Washington Heights? So there you go. I bet there's still some poor Puerto Ricans in a slither of Manhattan.
Yeah, I was always shocked when I found out Harlem is in Manhattan. It's like, think about Harlem. You don't think about...
You would think it would be the Bronx.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But it's not.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of. I think people are going to be very disappointed. They're going to go to Harlem and I can't wait to see all the poor black people really excited about it. And then you get there, it's just like, oh, it's just near Times Square.
Well, it's not really near Times Square at all.
In my brain, where Manhattan is just tiny.
Okay, having been to Manhattan, you know, I know about Manhattan, and I can tell you actually there are some. I mean, you mentioned Harlem, obviously, Washington Heights. I think it's called the East Village, where basically Chinatown. That you would suspect would be a very expensive neighborhood. It is not. It is very run down because it's, you know, Chinatown, and that is still standing. So if they were to make a remake of if they were to do a remake of not of Washington Heights, of West Side Story, Chinatown would have to be included.
Oh yeah, that would be good. I think, and I mean, tell you what, imagine how much better the Rumbles would be, because obviously everyone would know Kung Fu.
Exactly. It writes itself. Yeah. It really does.
Just like, yeah, I'd love to see that, you know, get Jackie Chan in there, just have a little fight. Maybe it'll be like, what weapons? If he says nunchucks, I say nunchucks.
Oh, fucking hell. Right, yeah, well, what are those little blades that they throw?
Oh, shurikens.
Is that what they're called?
I think they're called shurikens.
I don't think they are.
I think the English name is maybe Morning Star.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, or maybe
That's what they throw at each other from the distance. But yeah, no, that again, perfect. We've already got a base. We could do this. You know, first Steven Spielberg, then us. So plot, Michael. So the Jets and the Sharks, they're at war with each other, and the ante coincidentally goes up as soon as Marie travels over from Puerto Rico and meets Tony, and they fall in love, but society is against it. Indeed, there it is. And then there you go. I mean, you said there's not much of a plot.
Yeah, it's a lot like Attack of the Clones. You know, they're in love, but she's, you know, the bit where she says, "I can't. I'm a Puerto Rican, and your vows of chastity to the Jet order mean we can't." I mean, it's even like Jedi.
Wait, does Padme say your vows of chastity?
I don't know. She probably doesn't say that.
I don't think she does. That would. Yeah. I would have heard that line before.
Yeah, it would have been a very explicit line. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, but no. Yeah,
I hate rumbles. They're coarse and rough and irritating.
They get everywhere. Yeah, the blood gets everywhere.
That's true. Really does.
Yeah, after you knife someone, it's really irritating. But yeah, so Michael, let's get onto the script, because the plot, like you said, is fairly simple. So two teenage gangs struggle for control on the Upper West Side in the New York City in the 1950s / I mean, it says 50s here, but you know, 60s, 50s, whatever. I like that there's a shot of New York without the Twin Towers.
Aspirational.
Wow. You know what? That's a bit of bad taste, Michael. We're not on the Pope is gay yet.
I know.
Yeah. Anyway, so the Jets, a white gang led by Riff, brawl with the Sharks, a group of Puerto Ricans led by Bernardo. You would think that because they're Spanish, they would have like a Spanish name. Yeah, but
like the Sharkos.
Sharkos. Yeah, rhyming with narcos, of course, brilliant. And we know there's one thing about Spanish people is they love their narcotics.
That's true.
Because I've watched Netflix and I've seen Narcos. No, I mean, obviously, I'm gonna search it up in Google Translate. This is the most we've ever used Google Translate, Michael. Are you excited?
Shark. I know what fish is. Fish is pescado.
Pescado. It is tiburones. Tiburones. Let's play it.
Tiburones.
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 I know how to say my socks are pink.
Go on then.
Mis calcetinas son rosas.
Rosas. That's pink.
I can't roll my ass.
You're.
I know. I just turned into some kind of weird machine gun. Like,
you know what? Now I'm trying to do it. I can't.
You can always tell when there's not that much of a substance to a film when these kind of things happen.
Real Madrid.
Oh, you should say. Wait, can you do it for pretty? Like, can you do like the R? I feel pretty. Yeah. I mean, I can do it pretty, but that's not really how it's been. I feel pretty.
Okay.
Feel like running and dancing for joy, for I'm loved by a pretty one. I didn't key that right, did I?
No, you didn't.
That's why I'm not a professional singer.
But yeah, you're right. There's just so much to talk about with this great movie. But anyway, so you get a nice start with the clicking, that iconic clicking. You know, we're not going to be able to sync that up, are we?
No chance. It's okay. I'll just pretend we were doing it out of sync anyway.
Yes. Okay, and so we get on to my first problem with this movie, which, again, I said I don't like it at the start, and I'll tell you why. One of the main reasons are the gangs in this movie. I've already said how the shark should be called something Spanish, but, whatever. It is what it is. Maybe they're assimilating into American culture. But just the composition of these gangs, Michael. They're just skipping down the street. And I get it's a musical, but they're trying to be intimidating. That doesn't work. They're just flouncing around everywhere. And I'm sorry, you can do that, but you can't then at the same time try to be intimidating. And,
it's a little bit juvenile, to put things mildly. Yeah,
they're fighting, each other with these dance moves, and, one of them writes, "Sharks stink." Like, fuck, that's the worst thing you can come up with. Sharks stink. Yeah. Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, that will really show them. That will really show them. It just seems just a bit ridiculous, Michael. And, when the sheriff comes in and says, "Okay, you hoodlums, I've had enough of your roughhousing," I am just laughing.
Well, you got to bear in mind, this is what Manhattan used to be like before those violent crackers moved in. It used to just be a place where this was the worst thing that the cops had to deal with.
Yeah, you know what? You could make that joke, but another race, and it would work more.
Oh yeah, that is true. Actually, yeah, there is a different race which did move in.
Yes, but they had already done by this time, which I'll get into later.
Yeah, despite making up 13% of the population of Manhattan.
Okay. Yes. So it just seems, like I said, a bit ridiculous, and they're like, I don't know why this sheriff or lieutenant, whatever, he's complaining so much. Like, there's a cat fight that has broken out between two homosexual gangs. Like this, and he's like, this town didn't used to be like this. God damn it!
It's full on No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, it is. It's like, what a crummy neighborhood, he says, and I'm like, oh, I'm sure there are worse neighborhoods, Lieutenant. I'm sure there are worse things that go on. Like, imagine, I just love this comparison. I imagine these gangs, like, compared to the gangs in the TV show The Wire.
Yeah. Well, you did say one of the guys in The Wire was gay, which means he must have also been skipping around a lot.
No, but he wasn't part of the gang.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. He was a free agent.
Yeah, that's the technical term, the free agent. Yeah, he was a lone ranger. Yeah, you had they were just the Barksdales. The gangs were just called after the leader of the. I can't remember what's what's the other gang called in The Wire? But anyway, Michael, tell me what do you think? Of the start?
Yeah. You know what? I mean, I do. I agree with this specific criticism. I mean, I will say, I was thinking to myself, it does remind me a little bit of like the way biker gangs. So obviously, Grease isn't a good movie, but like the idea of just like you get these random gangs in like high school that decide they kind of hate each other, and it's like, I guess it's almost like jocks versus, I don't know, nerds or whatever, but I guess kind of nerds, they wouldn't really put up a fight. I guess like jocks versus goths, who knows? And that, like, the idea of kind of just a loose association of friends who, become like a certain subculture, and then they start beefing. That concept makes sense. I think the issue is, it's like, it feels like the film's trying to make them seem like actual, gangsters in the sense of like, organized crime almost. Because, if it was, like I say, kind of, let's say, for example, goths versus jocks or something like that, and it's like they'll fight like, hey man, stop playing that rock and roll music, dude. We're gonna listen to some, I don't know, Limp Bizkit or something, and then the goths are like, oh, I hate those jocks. That's like, you'd be like, okay, I get where this is, I understand where it's coming from. But here it's kind of like the language of it is very confusing, and I think it would have been better if they would have just been. Like, I mean, okay, if they would have been like an actual gang in terms of like doing criminal activity.
I'm going to get onto that later.
Yeah.
Bring up criminal activity. We'll get onto that later.
Yeah. The only other thing I just want to say is like, I don't think so. With like them being kind of goofy and dancing around, I feel like to an extent, like that. Yes, it's a musical and it does work. I think for some reason,
the problem is, Michael, like that. It's the complete antithesis of intimidating, of like when you're dancing around and like writing sharks stink on the wall. It's like you're trying to portray these gangs as like, oh yeah, they're real, as the fucking lieutenant has to get involved. Oh, they're real troublemakers, and it's like they're fucking having cat fights in the playground. Like I'm sorry that you need to be a little bit more menacing, and doing those dances does not correspond with that at all. And it just makes it feel, like I said, a bit ridiculous, and I can't help but laugh. I'm sorry. But we'll have to move on, Michael.
Yes.
Because we'll talk about the Jet song now. Riff and the Jets.
Here come the Jets like a bat out of hell. Someone gets in our way, someone won't do so well.
Oh, this is good. I can just go to you every time we mention a new song.
I know,
yeah. And this is where let's talk about this.
You don't like that they say bugging instead of fucking.
What? Do they
When
say bugging?
they say, we're gonna beat every last buggin' gang on the whole buggin' street on the whole. Ever, mother, no, they don't say mother, they say ever loving or something like that. I don't know. And it's just like, you just want them to say motherfucking on the whole motherfucking street.
The thing is, I didn't know if that was a slang. Okay, but they're just saying that instead of fucking. Okay.
Well, okay, anyway. No, here's the thing. I want to stress, I think it probably is slang from the time, but it's just from my perspective, a little like when they say, I mean, I tell you what, no, okay, we won't go into that now. But yeah, I just find it funny. There's so many times where it feels like they should be swearing and they don't.
Okay, yeah, I know. But, fucking sharks stink. You're not going to get swearing after you say that.
Yeah.
The sharks are a bunch of fucking nonsense. That's what you should have written. But anyway, let's talk about the colour, Michael, of this musical. The colour, the camera direction. This came out in the early 60s, and this is one of the things you can fully appreciate about this, is just how good it looks.
Yeah.
How colourful things are. Again, it doesn't really mesh with the menacing gangs, you're going for in your film, but whatever. Like, you told me, I remember this fact, you told me that Michael Bay loved West Side Story.
Yes, which is his favourite film.
Is his favourite film.
Yeah.
But yeah, because of the colours, and it's like, there's always something catching your eye. And I have to say, the camera direction, like a lot of movies from, the pre-modern Hollywood, camera direction ain't great. The camera direction is incredible.
There's lots of
many
shots.
things going on. Yeah, so many things going on in every shot. And it's shot really well. There isn't like some weird inconsistencies that you often get. It's a brilliantly, visually, it's a brilliant movie. And I think it's probably the best aspect of it in terms of it holding up today.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it's almost like some musicals end up almost being like extended music videos, where it's like you get the music, and then also you get the kind of funky visuals that you often get with music videos, and then it's just like you've got this narrative in between. And I think sometimes that can actually add something to a film. Obviously, it almost necessarily takes away something from the plot. But I think, to be honest, that's sort of just an inevitability with musicals, unless it's going to become like a 3-4 hour long thing or something. So yeah, with that said, I think the fact of the matter is, once a musical number happens, you can generally be like, yeah, okay, I can get on board with this. It's nice, it's visual, it's dynamic. Boom.
Boom. Yeah, and again, I do love the shots of New York. There's something cool about this is New York 60 years ago, because they genuinely did film it in New York, and that's a sense of what New York was like back in the day. So yeah, that's appreciated as well. Obviously there are some scenes where it's clearly they're on sets, with the America. They're clearly, it's a set, but at the beginning, that's New York. That's genuinely New York in the 1960s. Lovely to see. So let's talk about the gangs some more, Michael.
Yes.
I realise a lot of my opening is just complaining about the gangs before we get into Tony and Maria. So, okay, I talked about the Sharks, Michael. Not a great name for a Spanish gang because it's in English, but whatever. The Jets. What a shit name for a gang. The Jets. Firstly, since they are based in New York City, my mind automatically goes to the New York Jets, who are absolute dumpster fire of an NFL franchise.
Can I clarify, did the New York Jets exist at this time?
You know what? I think they may have.
Yeah.
You know what? It would be funny if the New York Jets were actually named after this gang. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that would be... It would be like when the Albuquerque unironically called their team the Albuquerque Isotopes because of the Simpsons episode.
Oh, did they do that?
Yeah, they did.
I'm looking. The New York Jets. Yes, I want to know their history there. They're a really bad team, basically, Michael. They're not scary. No, they were founded in 1959 as the Titans of New York.
Okay. And the real racism, by the way, is that there's no team called the New York Sharks.
Yes, they adopted their name in 1963. There is a football team called the New York Giants whose nickname is Big Blue because they wear blue a lot. And of course, Sharks. Where do they live?
In the Big Blue.
In the Big Blue.
Yeah, also, there's Miami Dolphins, and they live in a place where there's lots of Latinos.
Okay, that's great. I'm looking to see whether the team was called the Jets because of West Side Story, and nothing is coming up, which is a shame.
Yeah, maybe there is something to do with Jets in New York. Maybe it's because there's so many airports in New York, by which I mean there's at least one.
Joe Namath, by the way, was called Broadway Joe. He was one of their star players. So, yeah. Also, a lot of people don't know this, but Joe Namath comes from a long line of gay men. And one time when they were deciding what their surname should be, they said to somebody, okay, you name us. But because they had a lisp, they said, you name us. Okay, I'm just looking here at the Jets, which had been selected by among 500 candidates. The name was chosen over Dodgers. It doesn't say.
Oh, Dodgers. That would be a good name for a gang. Because they'd be like, they could just duck out of the way. Like, don't want to rumble against the Dodgers.
Yeah, but
Well, it kind of makes them sound like cowards.
Yeah, it does. It does. So yeah. So I don't think that's the case. Otherwise, it would have been on Wikipedia. But yeah. So that's what I think of when I think of the Jets, and that is not a good thing to think of. But also, like, let's think, Michael. Are Jets actually that scary? I mean, well, maybe if you were in New York.
Oh yes, yeah.
40 years after this movie was released, perhaps.
That is quite funny.
The Jets are scary. Now they've taken a whole new meaning. But,
well, they should do. You know that like those memes they do where it's like it will cut to 9/11, so it'll be like a cartoon or something, and like SpongeBob will get flung across the room or something, and then it will like cut to him like smashing into the Twin Towers. They could do that, but with this film. So like maybe when they do one of their jumps or something, like they're skipping along and then they jump, and then it just cuts to them like crashing into the Twin Towers.
Yeah.
Yes, that would make me laugh.
That would be very funny.
Thank you.
Okay. Right. Yeah. But sharks again. The sharks, they're scary. No one likes sharks, and of course Spielberg knows that. Quite well, doesn't he? So yeah. But anyways, something's coming, Michael, from Tony.
Something's coming, something good. Oh, Jabuju, Christmas bird. I don't actually know the words of that one very well.
Oh, right,
I know it's only just out of reach. Yeah, I don't know any of the rhymes. I just know the individual lines.
Yes, he's been delusioned with gang warfare and is looking for a better future. He wants to leave the Jets, like every Jets player, but he agrees to join them and to go to a dance later that evening because he's convinced something is good is going to happen to him. And the song is like meh. But I like this guy. I like Tony. Do you know why I like him, Michael?
Why do you like him?
Because he has the same physical proportions as me.
That's a strange thing to...
Do you know how underrepresented I am? Like a big guy who's like quite lanky, but not too lanky. It's you don't get many people who look like me, and you know what? Yeah. It means a lot. That guy has the most proportions. Like, anyone I've ever seen in a movie musical, he has the same, like he's about the same height as me.
Yeah. And
you wouldn't say he's lanky, right? Would you?
No, I wouldn't know. And I also wouldn't say you're lanky either.
Yeah, exactly. But he's still quite tall.
I feel like my proportions are pretty well represented. I feel like I'm very normal sized. I mean, I'm literally 6 foot. Like it's just bang on. It's a round number. You can't get more normal than a round number, can you? But no, yeah. I mean, well, it's interesting because while you are saying you like him because of a completely unrelated nonsense reason to like him,
no, it's not nonsense. Nobody looks like me.
Yeah. To be fair, this is literally like I like the idea that you're like a straight white male, being like I finally get representation. Representation of him. Meanwhile, fucking Puerto Ricans couldn't even get a woman to play the Puerto Rican character.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, he looks so. You watch his body, and he's like his like legs are quite long, and he's like it's like how the fuck is he gonna dance? It doesn't seem like he'd be good at dancing, but he still does. That's inspiration.
Yeah, this is to be fair, like honestly, someone should make it. You should, based on this, decide that you're going to learn to dance, and I think that would be
yes.
And also you are from the west side of England. So
of England.
That tiny island known as England, it's like basically Europe's Manhattan. No, but I do see I have a beef. First of all, I think maybe this song is one of the weirder songs that kind of catch you out. Generally speaking, I'd say the songs are decently well incorporated. I have another criticism later on, but yeah, this song probably is the second most it just seems a bit strange in terms of placing it here. But okay, my main criticism is this. I actually think it makes Tony less interesting that he already wants to leave the Jets, because I think it kind of just means that nothing that interesting can happen with his character, because he's basically from the beginning like, I don't want this life. I just want to go and settle down. Whereas if he was like actually, and again, you run into the issue of like, what does it even mean to be a member of the Jets? But if he was actually a member of this fierce, violent criminal gang, then obviously him like deciding to give that up for Maria would feel more authentic, and also
that is true.
Him struggling to kind of or him ending up killing Bernardo would work a little bit better. Because it's like, oh yeah, that is, he is basically still, has a genuine dislike for the Sharks. But instead, he's like, from the beginning, he's like, oh, I don't really care about it.
He could sing a nice song about, what am I actually always going to be like this, or could I ever move on?
Yeah, perhaps how there's something round the corner that might be better.
Something round the corner, something round the river bend.
I've been staring at the edge of the Hudson.
Okay, that's good. Anyway, so right, this guy. I just want to mention this because I find this incredible. I really do. Do you know this guy, Richard Bamer? He also plays another character. Well, of course he does. In his acting career, he's done more than just this movie. He played a Ben Horn in Twin Peaks, and I want you to.
I know him. Let me restate the phrase. I know Twin Peaks. There we go.
Well, fuck it. You know Twin Peaks.
I know of that show.
Yeah, that's
So
great. You know all
sorry.
that show. Well done, Michael. You know,
Yes.
No, that is not a good enough
Yeah,
thing
sorry.
to say, oh yeah, I know. Type in Ben Horn on, and you'll see how different he looks, which is why I was so surprised when I found that out.
All right. BenHorn. Oh, you know what? Actually, I'm just going to do it on my phone. This is, for some reason, my computer wasn't reacting, so yeah.
Ben Horn. So the thing is, obviously, in this movie, he does look like a bit of a toy action figure, like a puppet with his face. But what is incredible is that he looks like Ben Horn. Like, I had no idea they were played by the same actor. They look so different. And what's funny it's not really related, but Ben Horn in that movie, in that TV series Twin Peaks, he almost has sex with his daughter in a hilarious scene. Which is, again, if you watch Twin Peaks, you'll know. But I won't give it any more context with that. That you will caught up on Richard Baymer, Michael.
Yeah. I mean, it's when did is he dead yet? He's not dead. Isn't that mental? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, so let's talk about Bernardo's younger sister.
Yes.
Maria.
Maria. Yeah, it's funny. I just like the idea that you're just going to refer to him as Bernardo's sister throughout the whole thing.
Not just his sister, his younger sister.
Yeah.
Of course, she's excited about going to the dance. She has this great line, which is, "How much can one little inch do?"
Yes,
which is funny,
naughty,
isn't it? Okay, right. But this is when you start getting Romeo and Juliet vibes. If you're watching, it's like, oh yeah, we know what's coming. And again, I'm going to complain about the gangs for the final time, I swear. So we go to this dance, right? This dance.
It's neutral territory.
Why are these gangs going to this dance? What gangs dance, Michael? I don't understand this at all. Like, if only all gang warfare could be this pleasant.
Yeah, again, it would make perfect sense if it was like I say, high school gangs, like basically high school cliques, or I guess high school dropout cliques maybe, because I don't think the Jets. But yeah, basically, it is definitely strange.
Well, I'll tell you the problem, Michael. There's just a lack of believability, and this is my overall point, and this is me being very serious. Not that I wasn't being before, but this is like a major problem I have with this movie. I just don't believe that these gangs exist. Like, what territory do these guys have? I mean, how long have the Jets been going on for? It must be like a maximum of 10 years, right? Because these people who founded were both in their mid-20s. Like, I don't know, it doesn't seem that significant a rivalry, really. It's not like the Bloods and the Crips, because, you could say, obviously, the Bloods and the Crips, they must have started at some point, but gangs, this is the key point, Michael, gangs usually exist for a reason. And you brought it up before. It's, if they were involved in some criminal activity, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Because, of course, if you are to sell drugs or other illegal items, it needs to be done by gangs, basically. And if these gangs, the Jets and the Sharks, aren't doing that, there's no reason for them to exist. We talked about The Wire before, the Stanfields and the Barksdales. They were competing on, selling drugs. They were battling for territory, because the point of having that territory is you can sell drugs on that territory.
Yeah, and you can extort more businessmen.
What is the point of the Jets controlling one street or the Sharks controlling one street?
Hey, we need to play basketball here.
Yeah, hey, this is where we play basketball. Like, it's so stupid. Like, they should at least be involved in some sort of illegal business just to make it seem just a bit realistic, forgetting all the dancing and all of that shit. But yeah, just there's no point. Who cares who gets the territory? Like, what at one point, fucking the guy Doc asks one of the Jets, "What do you even need the territory for? Like, what does it matter?" And he says, "It matters to us." It's like, well, that's a complete cop-out non-answer.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's almost like, obviously you could say that thematically the point is that these rivalries are supposed to be pointless, but I guess they need to have at least enough point to them that it's not so obvious that they are pointless, I guess. Because I mean, and it's a bit strange, because it's like, ultimately in the original, in the Shakespeare, it's like, well, the idea that these two families were feuding, you can believe that. But it's kind of like in this case, these people are pretty loosely associated with each other. They're basically just hanging out, and they've decided to make this big deal out of it. They really should have, I guess, because the entire film from the Romeo and Juliet angle relies on the division between these two gangs being substantial. It's quite difficult to take that seriously when it does amount to just, hey, I don't like them in my territory, but every now and then we'll have this neutral territory. We can go have a little dance. It's like, but then we'll stand on opposite sides of the room. It's all very superficial. Oh, very yeah, I guess you were kind of saying like suspend your disbelief, like you can't really believe it. And yeah, I think,
sorry, Michael, just to put in, you can go two ways with this. You can make it more serious.
Yeah.
But then again, it might like undercut, like, oh, you're fighting for no reason. It's like, now we're fighting for money because we live in, a society where, hey, this is maybe the only way to get ahead, and all of that shit. Which is why this is kind of a liberal movie in that respect. But so maybe you wouldn't go that far.
Yeah.
Or make it so it's like more serious. Maybe you pull it back a bit.
Yeah.
But if you pull it back a bit, then you can't have like the cops intervening. Like, because the lieutenant, why would he care about kids?
I mean, obviously, I can see like a kind of cop being like, let's say there's like some kids like smoking and hanging out on there, like kind of, I guess, like juvenile delinquent crimes. I think that would make sense. But then, obviously, you can't have the cops like, I don't know, you can't have these big kind of grand statements on society about like, oh man, these kids, I don't know. Yeah, basically, I agree with you.
The problem is the lieutenant is getting involved.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, if I stop this fight, I'll get a promotion. It's like, I mean, you can't have it. You can't have it like that. Like, no, why would anyone care about these like gang, like even one of them says, nobody was meant to get killed. Well, after the two of them get killed. And that implies like this is quite unusual. Like,
I was thinking that too. Like, it's kind of
So why would the police be so? I mean, it's not like you've got the fucking the mafia at this very time like doing a lot of shit in New York City. Like, I think there's a lot bigger fish to fry if that is the case. So yeah, they need to. They can't have it both ways really. They can't have these gangs hate each other but also like fight over nothing. Yeah. And then if they fight over nothing, then we can't have the police involved and it be like a big matter for the fucking lieutenant involved.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's in an awkward place, kind of in terms of I guess the tension.
Yes. So anyway, let's get back to the dancing, Michael. So again, this is the dancing is good. We talk about the visuals. Yeah. It's nice. It's colourful. Again, this is one of the innovative areas of the musical. Indeed, the big dance scenes, and I like the concept of the gang stealing each other's limelight. Yeah. And then they do this camera trick where Maria and Tony they can only see each other. And I didn't like that. That ain't great. Now, there's a lot of iconic stuff from this movie, but no surprise that camera work
it looks a bit dated.
Replicated. Well, dated, and it just hasn't been replicated. It hasn't been copied, and because it looks shit. But anyway, I don't like as well the way they just meet staring at each other. Like, wouldn't it be better if they noticed someone from across the other end of the hall, and basically then were like, who are you? And then they bumped into each other later on.
Yeah,
that'd be better because it just feels again quite unrealistic. I will say, even though because it's a musical and you're meant to suspend your notion of disbelief.
Yeah.
It seemed quite unrealistic. Yeah,
it's interesting. Basically, I think in a way it's almost like if they had just kind of like done a bit of a casual thing where it's like they see each other. But I guess the issue is it's kind of like, and obviously you could say you could fiddle around with the story structure to fix this. It's kind of like a situation where there's only a set number of times they can meet. So it's sort of like this time has to become more important. I think maybe it would have made sense in terms of like reconciling the structure of the film in terms of only having a few moments to meet with them actually falling in love, seeming authentic, but not like kind of, I guess, ham-fisted. Because I think maybe you could say the whole like everything goes dark and they can only see each other. It feels a bit kind of just ham-fisted. I'm going to use that term again. Whereas obviously, it doesn't kind of feel like casual, like, oh yeah, they actually, have fallen in love. Because I can believe in this idea of like love at first sight. But I think it's like when the film like totally tries to kind of like make it seem super, super duper important, it almost like goes the opposite way where it's like, it's just, okay, I mean, come on, like I can believe in this idea of like seeing something like, who's that girl? And like, really just finding her so mesmerizingly beautiful. I can understand that like notion, but to have it like this big, almost spiritual, otherworldly thing where it's like everything goes silent and just like, hi. What was that line? I actually thought it was a good line where she says, I don't know how to joke like that. And right now I think I never will again.
Okay, powerful. It seems very, very artificial. That's the thing. And again, if you like love at first sight, when I say I don't believe in that, I'm talking about actual love at first sight. You just see someone and you love them.
Yeah.
Like actually, if you have a conversation first, then it's love. It's like, okay, that's more. I don't know, it's believable, but I can get on that notion. It's just so.
I think it's more like intense attraction at first sight. I'll probably say, which can then manifest as like an actual emotional connection relatively quickly based on the basis of that attraction. That's what I'm going to say. So it's like
shut up. We're moving on.
Yes,
we're moving on.
Moving on to
Maria.
The
song by Tony.
Tony.
No, sing the song.
Maria. I'll start with this. And suddenly I found how wonderful a sound can be. Maria. Say it loud and there's music playing. Say it soft and it's almost like praying. And so on.
Maria. Yeah, I like the part where he goes, Maria, Maria, Maria,
yeah.
Maria.
Again, I mean,
Maria, Maria, Maria.
It's another song which I guess has the purpose of like selling you on the romance. Because obviously, I mean, it's worth noting, like one of the things people talk about with musicals is that sometimes the songs can actually be efficient storytelling devices. Because obviously, what I kind of said earlier was like, oh, with musicals, it's like you have to have less plot because there's so much room for music, which is kind of true, but at the same time it's also true that sometimes you can communicate things more quickly through song than you can through like character and dialogue, because you can just have a character literally sing about what they're going through. And I suppose with several of the songs it does create an opportunity to sort of, I guess, push through the they're in love narrative just by having the characters sing about it. And I guess through the internal logic of the musical, you're like, okay, I understand that the musical is, you know, not actually happening, like they're not actually singing a song right now, and this is just a filmmaking device to communicate this growing sense of love, which is great. Obviously, I just wish there was like a slightly more there to substantiate it, but I think actually, as you know, a thing to show, yeah, he's really head over heels in love with her. It's a pretty effective song to that effect.
I mean, like you sing the name of a woman that you're in love with 10 times, people will get the message.
That's
so
true, yeah.
There we go. It's effective, but it ain't great, I have to say.
Yeah.
I'm not going to listen back to that. I am going to listen back to, because we need to move on. You're doing your best to make this as long as possible.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We're going to move on to the best song, which is America.
Yes.
America. America. And because it's the most famous, I'd say.
Yes.
And it's also the best. So the girlfriend of Bernardo, Anita, praises America, while a fellow Puerto Rican, Rosalia, supports Puerto Rico.
Anita is the kind who would vote for Trump. Anita's the kind who won Trump, Florida.
Yeah. Okay, again, that's good. But okay, I just read that out. I realised that's from the actual musical. The irony of the supposedly pro-American number, however, is it's vibrantly Hispanic with Latin percussion.
Yeah.
So that's something that's quite interesting. But in the 1961 film version, Anita, played by Rita Moreno, still sings in favour of the United States, while it's Bernardo now. So it's Bernardo, played by George Chakiris, replies with corresponding criticisms of America and American ethnic prejudice, especially against Puerto Ricans. Life is all right in America if you're all white in America. Yeah, there we go. Here's my issue. We'll talk about the song in a bit. In terms of his actual
Here's your
issue.
America isn't racist.
Okay. I don't know why the men don't like America and the women do. Like, because women will face the same racism as well. It doesn't make sense. I think what should have happened is there shouldn't have been, women on one side, men on the other. It should be a group of men, a group of women. It shouldn't be, because it makes no sense for like one sex to say this, the other sex to say that. Why? Like, the men... So sorry, it can still be Bernardo being the guy. It's racism in America, but he is joined by a group of men and women, and the same thing for Anita.
Okay. I have I think from it making sense from a musical standpoint is probably because like there's a distinction between like the low voices of the men and because we obviously know that sometimes like have your men and your women. It's got to
work in reality.
Okay. Here's the thing. Okay, in reality, I think the only explanation I can think of, which I think kind of makes sense, is that men tend to have like more pride, so I could see them being like more wounded by the sense of being. Because if you think about it, okay, you're a Puerto Rican man in Puerto Rico, you're like on top because you're a man and you're the dominant person. Then you move to another country, you're an immigrant. It kind of like wounds your machismo ego. But if you're a woman in Puerto Rico, you're already not like, you're not on top of the pile because you're a woman in Puerto Rico. We all know what those Latin men are like with their chauvinism. So it's kind of like you move to America.
There's no racism here in this.
Yeah, I know. But then you move to America and it's like, sure, you're aware of the discrimination you're getting from white people. But to be fair, you were probably getting discrimination from men in Puerto Rico too. I don't imagine Puerto Rico is a feminist paradise. So I guess maybe it's like for a woman, it's like, hey, I'm probably going to be discriminated against no matter where I am. It's sort of like the same way I can imagine like gay guys probably don't care as much about, let's say, for example, you're an Indian gay guy. You probably don't care as much about racism you might face in England as a straight Indian guy would, because it's like the straight Indian guy, that's the only discrimination he's getting. The gay Indian guy, he's like, tell you what, actually, this ain't so bad. Sure, I get made fun of for being a poo sometimes, but a poo the character, not a poo human excrement. But yeah, that's my explanation for it. Now, obviously, I think kind of on balance what you're saying makes more sense, which is they would actually be divided just randomly. But I can see the logic of like why it is that men might be more wounded by the presence of racism.
You've spent so long talking about something which, I just have a little simple comeback. Like, women face racism as well. And racism, just as we saw in this fucking movie, Anita at the end being harassed. And again, would that happen to her if she was white? Probably not. In that scenario, of course.
Yeah.
So therefore, I think, men may have more wounded pride, but racism is still quite bad. And again, we have this line which I think is interesting, where Anita goes, "Free to be anything you choose," and then the reply, "Free to wait tables and shine shoes."
Yeah,
that is like
that doesn't really make sense because it's like a woman would be the one waiting tables.
That's the thing. It's like free to be anything you choose. Okay, so women then surely would, if following your logic, that wouldn't like.
Yeah, they would choose to have total equal rights, and they don't. What does that tell you? It means they like it.
Yeah,
they like not having equal rights.
But again,
take the red pill.
I do like that line. Life is alright in America if you're all white in America.
Yeah, that's like the hardest hitting line.
Beautiful, and it's such a good tune. And speaking of the tune, it is incredible. Like near the end of the song, they just have the music playing in the background, and in your mind, you can hear the lyrics. Like I like to be in America, I want to be in America. But that's the thing. There's no lyrics when your mind is playing the lyrics over the music.
Yeah,
that's
it's a real earworm.
Yes, it really is. Anyway, let's talk about the theme that is being brought up. Puerto Ricans
racism.
Complain, of course, about being treated as foreigners, and obviously, what is definitely the case is the police force is biased against Puerto Ricans, which is good as well. Like,
it's good that the police force is biased against Puerto Ricans, is it?
I can't say anything without you jumping in. But the thing is, like, the law is, the lieutenant says, hey, you're regular Americans, the Puerto Ricans are not. The Puerto Ricans are treated worse than the regular Americans. The law enforcement is on the white American side. And I think that is crucial because there are, the themes in this movie or the musical are bigotry and cultural misunderstanding. But, you could just be like, both sides, each side has it bad.
Yeah.
But what is crucial is there is an understanding that Puerto Ricans are treated worse, which of course is what happens in reality. It's not just like, they hate each other. Like there's no, analysis or examining of why, the Puerto Ricans are in the situation. There is, you can hear it in the American song when they're complaining about racism, and then you see it in the police force being biased against them. So that is good. That is necessary. And I'm thankful that is in there. So that is good. And obviously the bigger theme is quite simple, of course, which is, hey, we're all human. There's no need to hate each other just because of how we look, We can still love each other even though we look different and come from different backgrounds. Very easy theme, of course. We don't need to dive into that. But I do want to dive into the fact that, this movie is in itself, again, racist. The actress who plays Marie is Natalie Wood. She is not Puerto Rican or Latino in general. She is, of course, white. And do you know which country she... well, you probably don't, Michael. She originally... Her family is from Russia.
Oh, okay. I can kind of see how you could mistake a Russian for a Spanish person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, her family fled after the Russian Revolution.
Oh, I see.
And they fled. I read they fled to China and then they fled to America. Basically that's her. And again, she's Puerto Rican in the movie, but she's the whitest looking Puerto Rican. Like you look at immediately as I saw her for the first time, I was like, she's meant to be Puerto Rican. I mean, you can kind of see she's got a bit of a tan, so that helps. But she looks very white, and indeed there are some lines of where she's singing, where she's trying to sing, normally, and she has to put on a Puerto Rican accent, and sometimes you can tell she is putting on an accent because you can hear for just a bit like her natural singing voice what she wants to do, and then she has to put on a bit of an accent.
I like it if her singing voice was just full on Russian, just like I feel pretty.
Okay, again, she was born in San Francisco. Her family is Russian, but
Oh, so gay then.
Funny nonetheless. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like even I mentioned it at the top. Hey, Puerto Ricans, they're not treated well in America, are they? Well, in this movie, the actress who plays the main character, who is Puerto Rican, one of the two main characters, she doesn't even get to be played by a Puerto Rican. So it kind of undercuts a lot of the message of your movie if you're doing that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I almost would expect, maybe, and I could be wrong about this, it's kind of like a case of billing somebody who's like a major celebrity, because that's kind of, obviously this isn't me making excuses, it's just me pointing out like the monetary kind of cynicism of it. Like, I suspect it's kind of like there aren't any big names, because I bet this whatever her face is, Natalie Wood. I would maybe expect she was like
completely mixing up two people.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, maybe like a big celebrity at the time. You know, like somebody who you put like starring Natalie Wood, and it's kind of like if they put like some starring González Consuelo, they'd be like,
yeah. I mean, she was famous.
Which again, it's not an excuse, because obviously it's cynicism, and we don't like our big corporations, you know, being woke, except for when they might go broke. But yeah, basically. So yeah, that's not an excuse.
She was famous. Yeah, she appeared opposite James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause.
Oh, see, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so within that context, I bet it was like they were like, oh yeah, we can't put up some like Puerto Rican, because then, you know, that doesn't look good on a billboard or something. And also, I bet like there was a white woman playing it on when it was a stage show. Like, definitely it would have been a white woman.
Oh, well, you know what? I'll check that out.
I wonder if it says because it's kind of like, I just assume, you know, like the stage is even more.
Can we
white.
do original cast? Is there a way to look at the original cast? I am looking.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like kind of an interesting thing to actually be on there. I'd be interested.
Original cast. No, I can't find it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Ultimately, I'll just say that I agree, although I think it's quite an unsurprising thing.
Yeah, I know, it's unsurprising, Michael. It's unsurprising. I'm not shocked. I'm not bowled over. I'm saying, again, it undercuts the message. You're not shocking me by your revelation of studios might have wanted some more money, and you know, casting a well-known white actor more than an unknown Latino actress would have brought in more money. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying it thoroughly undercuts the message.
Yeah. Also, sometimes Disney will include scenes of gay inclusion in their films or gay representation intentionally to be cut out in China. I bet you didn't know that.
Yes. And by the way, the Puerto Ricans won, didn't they? Because there's no more poor whites in Manhattan.
Yeah, that's true.
You go. You don't get the poor whites anymore. You know, they're all, you know, they're out in terms of a cultural, thing anyway.
Well, didn't they just send all of the poor whites out to the Midwest and get them addicted to meth?
Yes, that's exactly what they did. But anyway, so let's get into Maria and Tony. Of course, they are on. They meet with each other after the dance on the balcony.
Oh wait, is that the right song?
They just calm down. So we have a Romeo and Juliet reference. I mean, what I mean reference, that's the most obvious Romeo and Juliet comparison, you know, when she's on the balcony. And
isn't it literally called a Juliet balcony?
Yeah, you know what, it might be, Michael. It might actually be. But how many times must Shakespeare be adapted, Michael? I just think, like, obviously, you know, this was before The Lion King, and it was before, say, King Richard, which came out this year. Do you like that joke?
Yes.
You don't know what King Richard is, do you?
No.
Because did Shakespeare did he ever do a play called King Richard?
Yeah, he did Richard III and Richard II, I think.
Okay, so King Richard is if you look that movie up, do it now and you'll see why that's a funny joke, because it's not actually a Shakespeare adaptation.
Also, I can't wait until we review the Romeo and Juliet remake with Leonardo DiCaprio.
I was just about to say that you also have Romeo plus Juliet. You know, I just don't have interest in it, because of course the issue, and maybe this is why I don't like this film that much, like Romeo and Juliet, of course, it's a great concept. Two lovers from rival factions. It's inherently romantic and interesting. But if you're just redoing it, I'm like, well, I've already, you know, I get, you know, why you do something like this. You know, put a twist on it like this. Oh, we're setting Romeo and Juliet in fucking 1960s New York, and there's Puerto Ricans and just the whites. What about that? Isn't that an interesting twist? I'm like, yeah, but you're not doing anything with the concept, really. So, I mean, I'm just not invested or interested in it, basically, Michael. That's not appealing to me, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, the flip side is, do you know how disappointed I was when I was a kid and we actually went to see a performance of Romeo and Juliet, and I found out it didn't have singing in it? Because I was aware of West Side Story at that time, and then I got there and I was like, oh, this is fucking boring. They're just talking the whole time. So I'm going to say they improved it with the songs.
Did you search up King Richard?
Yeah, it's about this guy who raised his daughters to abuse umpires.
That's funny. But anyway, so Tonight is what is sung next by Tony and Maria, if you will, Michael.
Tonight. Actually, no, my favourite bit, even though it's actually from the reprise later on, is tonight, the minutes feel like hours, the hours move so slowly, and still the evening's light. I don't know, something about it being light.
Is glowing.
Yeah,
probably. Anyway, so then Maria says to Tony, when you come, use the back door. And we move on. Right, so
that's fine.
We go up to G Officer Krupke.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So Riff and the Jets, the song is sung by them, who poke fun at Krupke by singing about the societal forces that led them to join Again, have you got this one, Michael?
Yeah. So it's a Gee, Officer Krupke, we're really upset. We never had the life that every child ought to get. It ain't we're delinquents or misunderstood. Deep down inside us, there is good, or whatever. Yeah, something like that. The thing is, it's a fun. I think this song is actually. Is this song famous? I feel like this song is kind of well known.
Yeah, I feel like it is. Yeah,
possibly because it's a funny name, Krupke.
Yes. Krupke, you at the end, of course.
Yeah,
that was funny. But yeah, so the societal themes explored in the musical feature on. One of the themes is the social failure to fully integrate and empower young people in constructive ways. And of course, you know,
they didn't make the world.
No, they didn't, and that's pretty clear. And this is a weird song because they're very self-aware.
Yeah,
like they are incredibly self-aware about themselves. But yeah, they're just pointing out how, they know what's wrong with their situation, but nothing's going to change. So, what are they going to do?
This song, I feel like this song's very animated in terms of just like the feel of it. Like when they go like, the trouble is he's lazy. The trouble is he's. Whenever I think about that, whenever I'm like listening to that song just on its own, I always think to myself like, I just imagine it being like in an animated thing where a guy's like just being like smashed around all over the place. The thing is, I would argue it's a pretty catchy song. I guess it does have a thematic thing to it, although it's basically just reinforcing kind of, I guess, the central theme of the film.
It has a thematic, well, not the central theme.
Oh yeah, sorry, get everyone get along.
Yeah, everyone let's get along. Let's not let race divide us. This is like, like society has kind of we're fucked,
we live in a
basically.
Society.
Yeah, we do. We live in a society, and they acknowledge, like, again, very self-aware, like they're fucked. And okay, it's a societal disease, but nothing's going to change from that, is there? So, it's society that made him this way. Well, they're still, how is that? Nothing's going to change for them in their lives, even though there is a diagnosis. But yeah, so we'll move on to, they decide on the Rumble, and then we get a, I just put my notes. They decide on a Rumble again for a fucking street. Intermission. Yeah, they, we need our territory. We need that street back. It's a really nice street. There's a really cool lamppost that we all like to hang out under. And, just our lives wouldn't be the same without it. Anyway, so we have an intermission, of course.
Yes.
This is a movie which is 60 years old. And then we get I Feel Pretty. Do you want to give us a bit of that, Michael?
I'm entrancing, feel like dancing, feel like running and prancing for joy, for I'm loved by a pretty wonderful boy.
Can you say the line, I feel pretty, witty and gay?
Yeah, okay, I feel pretty and witty and gay, and I pity
you do.
any girl who isn't me today.
Because you are gay. Anyway, that was easy. That was so easy to do. I'm a genius. Anyway, right.
Can you say I'm a massive bender?
Tony shows up, and obviously they simulate a wedding. And
yes,
I was thinking, I appreciate they like each other, but they've known each other for less than 24 hours at this point. And there's something I'll come back to later on in the
although this was movie. A point in time where people were getting married super young. People got married at 21 back then. They're probably like, oh boy, the biological clock is ticking.
Young, but I'm talking about how long they've known each other for. Yeah. They can get married at 14 years old if they've known each other for 5 years, And so, there's a bit of a different standard here. They've known each other for less than 24 hours, Michael.
Yeah.
So we have an issue here. But anyway, One Hand, One Heart is up next. So Tony and Maria perform a symbolic marriage because such an actual ceremony is a social impossibility. And I do like it, how it reinforces their relationship, basically, as being above social reality. And basically they have this whole notion of them with their heads up in the clouds. And I do like how, of course, they're doing this because they know it can never happen.
No, yeah. And it is a pretty song. Obviously, I already jumped the gun and sung it earlier because I was well ahead.
Do it again.
Make of our hands one hand, make of our hearts one heart, make of our vows one vow. Only death can part. Anyway,
that's good. Yeah. So at the end of the number, the melodic motif of Maria slightly upsets the harmonic resolution.
I noticed
this motif, which it must be remembered, alludes to Tony's desire to get it on with Maria, and which therefore I'm reading just this from Wikipedia.
It says the words "get it on."
And which therefore constitutes a social transgression, which works to move the plot along to end it tragically. Symbolically suggests that their wedding will not take place because it shouldn't happen. So I like that. That's clever.
I was
like, they're smart. They're smart. That's nice. But yeah, obviously, yeah, it's pretty clear they're acting this out because they know it's like this is never going to happen.
Yeah,
so
if they were going to get married, you wouldn't have them faking a marriage at the beginning or in the middle, rather.
Exactly. And of course, before we get the Romeo and Juliet vibes again, which again, I'm just like, yeah, we know how this is going to end. But anyway, so tonight's quintet is up next. So Maria, Tony, Anita, Riff, Bernardo, and the Jets and the Sharks. I like the red background when it's sunset. I do like that.
Yes.
But yeah, again, the song is very complex, so to pull that off is impressive.
Yeah. Although I do like how it just randomly has like all this other stuff going on. They just have Anita being like, I'm going to bang my boy.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. So Anita sings of her anticipation for her boyfriend Bernardo to return after the Rumble. She knows that he is usually riled up after a fight like this, and she looks forward to having some intimate time together, getting her kicks. So that's funny to put in this song, but the reason why it's put in is because, you know he's going to die. Like, this movie...
Yeah. You wouldn't literally have a scene of her being like, I can't wait until my boyfriend gets home alive.
Yeah, again, this movie doesn't just foreshadow, it five shadows, Michael. Do you like that?
That's a good... Yeah. Because that's more than four.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like four head, five head.
Yeah.
Foreshadow, five shadow. What it does, it's like, when you hear that line, immediately, first time watching it, was like, oh yeah, he's going to die. He's going to die. And that is, of course, what does happen. But give us a bit of that song, Michael, if you can.
Anita's going to get her kicks tonight. She's going to take Bernardo's dicks tonight. She likes that he has more than one of them, even though people say it's a birth defect.
Okay. I mean, you didn't really need to...
Well, I needed to explain why it is that I was pluralizing dicks.
Yeah, but it's just like multiple dickings, you know?
Okay, fine.
Okay, right.
I mean, I just imagined somebody with multiple dicks, but you imagine multiple dicking sessions. And I can understand we don't need to fight each other over that, Luke. We don't need to form two rival gangs. Okay,
so part of the song was parodied in a promo to the 2005 WWE Royal Rumble event, where the superstars from Raw and SmackDown gathered for a Rumble until Vince McMahon wakes up from the dream sequence and says, that's not the Rumble he had in mind. So,
wow.
It's great.
That was with reference to the Anita Bernardo lyrics. Okay. I don't want to fuck this guy.
Yes, the enduring legacy of West Side Story lives on in WWE. So the gangs approach each other under the highway. Tony arrives to stop the fight, but Bernardo antagonizes him. And of course, Riff initiates a knife fight, and eventually Bernardo stabs Riff, and then Bernardo gets stabbed by Tony. And I like that. I have to say, it's well done. You know, it's like, how do you get these people? You know, because you need obviously Tony to stab. And it's like, that's how it would go down. That's the best way to have it happen.
Yeah. Although it should be pointed out, people don't die from single stab wounds generally. You know.
Yeah, but maybe he's just lost consciousness. And of course, we knew, you know, medical things weren't so good in the 1960s.
Yeah. So it just showed up like, he needs leeches to suck out the bad blood.
Literally, a scratch could kill you. So. You need a knife in the stomach.
I'm surprised somebody didn't die from the bubonic plague in this film set in the ancient world of the 1950s. Basically, I also agree the Rumble was done well. Again, this is kind of this was actually a moment where I was thinking it would have been better if Tony had actually already, like, he wasn't so down on the gang from the beginning, because I was like, maybe if he actually hated the Sharks, like actually genuinely had some antagonism towards them, then like it would make it even more like intense when obviously
make it even
Riff
more
dies.
Tragic, Michael. Tragic. And this is of course a tragedy, because that's what Romeo and Juliet is. It would be so tragic if he's like, no, I'm getting away from my life, and then he gets drawn back in. Because he's already rejected it. It comes as more of a surprise. You know, there's not that internal struggle, is there? And so of course, you know, the result is still the same, but that internal struggle would be very interesting.
Just when I thought I got out, they pulled me back in.
Exactly. Yeah. To quote Al Pacino, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That is Al Pacino. Good. Thank God. We go. Okay. So Maria, right? Maria.
Yes.
She's known Tony for how long, Michael?
She can I say this? Bernardo gets so cucked. Like, that's what I was thinking. Like, this is just like.
Well, but he's his sister, not, you know.
Yeah, I know. But the thing is, it
would be worse if he was Chino.
But Chino the fucking manlet.
Wow. Okay.
I was actually. I tell you what. No, I was watching this film and I was thinking about. I mentioned to you before the concept of melanin cells, like incels with lots of melanin, and they're very triggered by the fact that Anita would rather date Brad, the white boy. And I was thinking, this is probably like, this film is literally a melanin cells nightmare. It's like Tony, the handsome white guy, comes along, kills her brother, and she's still down for it.
he would fucking she would still date Chad instead of
Cheho.
Chadarito. She would rather date Chad than Chadarito. There we go.
That's good.
Done. Nailed it. But yeah, so she's known again Tony for a day, and again, so she still forgives him, even though he just killed her brother. Whatever.
A boy like that who killed your brother.
Okay. Yeah. Then Somewhere is played. Somewhere. Come on, give a rendition of that.
There's a place for us. Actually, more excited. We'll find a new way of living. We'll find a way of forgiving. Pretty quickly, actually, all things considered.
Yes, pretty quick. Again, I was hoping you'd say that line because, again, he just killed her brother. And he's like singing this fucking duet with her. It's like, yeah, we're all about forgiving, aren't we?
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
we love to forgive. That's what we do in this song. We're forgiving. Yeah. Yeah,
it's hard not to think in his head. He's actually like high-fiving himself. Like, I can't believe I'm fucking getting away with this.
Yeah, no, he's got his fingers crossed like behind his back. Yeah. Like, we're forgiving. Yeah. Please buy it. Please buy it.
He's like 100% like leading that song.
Yes. And Maria's just like kind of singing along, and she's like looking over to him with her eyes. Like, wait, what? Forgive what? Is that the next lyric? Yeah. Okay.
I like to imagine like a film about a guy who knows he's in a musical, so he starts just using the musical numbers to manipulate those around him. That would be a good premise.
Yes. Yeah, that's that. You know what? That would be a fun premise, Michael. We come up with some great ideas. Okay, so then we got Cool by Ice and the Jets.
Oh, okay. Cool is actually my biggest beef. It's not my biggest beef, but the thing is, it's the song which is first of all the most like just out of place in terms of like. Just you've got all of this big stuff. It's all like building up and things, and then it's just like the film just stops for this random like thing where they just say, "Hey, you got to play it cool," and it's just like it just feels totally unnecessary. Nah, and also, I don't know. And also, I think like I also feel like it. Okay, I was just gonna say I don't know. I feel like the acting in it is like more goofy. I don't know why. It's kind of just like the bits where they're like, "Do cool." Ugh.
Oh, now you think the acting's goofy?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, now it's too goofy.
But I will say I like the song. But the thing that I find weird is it just like whenever I watch this film, as I always do, I think to myself, surely like cool should come before the Rumble because it's kind of like building up. Like you got to be cool at the Rumble.
You know what? Steven Spielberg in his new West Side Story is doing just that because apparently I saw that.
And here's me saying it shouldn't be remade.
Tony is singing that to riff apparently before the Rumble. So there you go.
Wow, I might actually come away saying that I actually approve of this remake. That would be crazy.
Well, we're gonna guess the Rotten Tomatoes score at the end. Of
I think
course.
Based on that alone, it'll be 100%.
Okay, so A Boy Like That / I Have Love, Anita and Maria. Okay, so
I like this one.
Anita, again, she has just seen that her friend. This is great. Like her fucking. I think they're not married, so the boyfriend. Yeah. Her boyfriend has just been murdered by this guy.
Yeah.
And Anita is literally like, the brother. Like her brother's just been murdered, and Anita is hiding this guy and letting him get away with it. Maria is doing that. Sorry, there's two Latino names.
Racist.
Just so
you are a racist.
Okay, but so if you were Anita, would you, after a skillfully delivered song by Maria, completely do a 180 and, in fact, help the person who just killed your boyfriend?
Again,
would you do that?
Bloody white guys. So you're just not.
I simply can't find it believable. I can't do it, Michael. I can't do it. I can't. Okay, maybe Maria is so madly in love with fucking Tony that she'll forgive him for knifing her brother. But why the hell is Anita trying to help Tony? Yeah. She doesn't have a relationship with him. He just killed her boyfriend.
There's one thing, which is the fact that obviously I think both of the women have a sense of like, they know that this is basically like a fight that's going on between these two groups. Admittedly, again, you run into the fact of like, this does not seem to be a high stakes fight where you would expect people to die. But I'm kind of thinking to myself like, it's a bit like if you're, say, a soldier in World War II and you run into, again, obviously seriously exaggerating how important this fight actually was, but it's like the idea is, it's kind of like, it's a fight. So it's like, okay, Tony killed this person, but it's kind of like, well, and this was something which I almost feel like it would have been a clever thing to communicate, but I don't think they could have done it because of the fact it had happened within a song. The fact that Anita basically is marrying Bernardo, who is literally totally on board with this whole like fighting gang stuff. And Maria could have said, hey, Tony wanted to, like, again, this couldn't have been communicated for a song, I don't think, but it would have actually been a good argument. She could have said, hey, Tony wanted to get out of this, According to, he told me that basically all of the other fighting was going on around him, and that's why it happened. He didn't want to have anything to do with it. I asked him to go. Meanwhile, you're dating Bernardo, who literally chose to go there. Like, he's the one who's choosing to get involved in this stuff. So how can you go rag on Tony?
That would be good.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen.
Yeah, again, because obviously instead you just get the line.
That doesn't happen in the movie. So, I know you're trying to defend
so
this
you
movie.
Said. No, yeah,
Well,
I mean, that's the thing.
We can only go off what happens in the movie. And that would have
Yeah.
been perhaps better explanation. And you can say, oh, they implicitly know that. But that is not communicated.
Yeah,
and indeed,
yeah.
Anita, if we remember, she likes that Bernardo goes out for these scruffs because when he comes back, he'll do her in good.
Yeah, maybe that should have been Maria's argument. She's like, I need you to get me this dick. Go find Tony, because I know he's going to... Tell you what, he's just murdered a guy. Now I want him to penetrate me with his knife, with his weapon.
Hell, right, let's calm down. So let's move on to when Anita goes to Doc's, Michael. The Jets harass her, of course, until Doc intervenes. This is what I was talking about before in terms of the racism. I like how America plays over the harassing as it goes on. That's a nice reincorporation there.
Yes.
And again, like, hey, just because you're a woman doesn't mean you don't face racism. But they were doing the bull thing, with the red sheet. Do you like that? So
I did like it was like then they did like the old underlay or whatever. Matador.
That's high level racism. You only get that racism if you live next to people who are Spanish.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Anita angrily says that Chino has killed Maria, and I like that because it's something that she would do. She's annoyed. And logically it makes sense because why she's there, why she has to tell, what's he called, Tony? That's it. Yeah. So that's what she's trying to tell Tony. So it would make sense why she's there. So we're all good. Do you like that bit as well?
No, yeah. I thought it was a good way to kind of get because obviously, I mean, in the original Romeo and Juliet, there's a whole weird thing about the potion. They got to take the potion to make themselves look dead, and then they kill each other or whatever. This is, almost you could say makes more sense and is less convoluted. She goes there, she's already kind of doing a favor for Maria, and I think you can definitely see that she's not totally on board with this whole Tony being all right thing. And then obviously, when this happens, she's like, you know what? Boy, you caught me out at a bad time, Buster. But okay, I do have one criticism, which is she at no point, to my knowledge, just says, I have a message from Maria.
Okay, yeah. But, would that change things? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know, yeah. It's just like, she's kind of just like, I need to speak to this person. And it's like, I don't know, maybe she said, I have a message from this specific person. Maybe, obviously, I do agree with you that it might not do anything, but it's kind of like, the fact that she didn't say it just made me think, well, that could have made things better. But obviously, it's fine.
Okay, so, it's not. But anyway, no, it is, it's fine. Tony spots Maria, and of course they run towards each other. Only for Chino to shoot Tony. Maria, again, she just doesn't react. And I'm just like, why wouldn't you? Like, she cries after, but like when fucking Tony gets shot, she doesn't seem to react.
Yeah.
She already knows
she's
dead.
shocked.
This is okay. Yeah, I have you in my arms. You were probably going to get shot, so this isn't that unexpected to me. I'd read the script beforehand, and this is what was going to happen, so here I am. But then eventually she does lash out like you would expect. Again, though I will mention she's known him for a day, but whatever. By now that criticism seems kind of redundant. And of course, Maria stops the gangs from fighting, taking the gun from Chino, and threatens to shoot everyone, blaming their hate for their deaths.
And I have hate, so I can kill now.
Yeah, but she doesn't though, because she's the good one. Because she's the good Puerto Rican because she's actually white.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, that's the thing. Obviously, that's the message. Like, hate kills people. Don't hate each other, guys. This is something I did think of, and I probably should have brought it up earlier. But of course, it's the Puerto Ricans versus the whites, and no doubt that's a big grudge match. But what would have been an even bigger grudge match if you had the African Americans versus the whites?
I don't think
that would have been something. But of course, would they go that far? They probably would not.
Yeah.
So, originally, it was meant to be... I love this. Originally, it was meant to be, when the play was first conceived, between the Catholics and the Jews.
I honestly thought you were going to say Catholics and Protestants. I was like, okay, that makes sense. And then you saying Jews just made it... I kind of get it, because it's like, obviously, I guess you could say, well, Protestants are too high up in society. They've got other things to do. So in that sense, it does make sense. But just like Catholics and Jews. It's kind of like, I like the idea that it's like... Because it's kind of, this idea of like... It's like a blood feud where one person kills a person, one person kills a person. This would be pretty good because it would go right back to Jesus.
All the way back to Jesus, yeah. But
it's like, that's for Jesus.
I know the Catholics and the Jews probably didn't like each other a lot, but I think again, there's a lot of I guess there's a hierarchy in terms of how much each race hates each other.
Yeah.
Like it's like in football.
Yeah.
With like from Manchester United's perspective, we have the Manchester derby and the match between Liverpool, the Northwest derby, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I'd put Liverpool above Man City. So would the whites and the Puerto Ricans be the Man City, and then Liverpool would be the whites and the blacks. You get me?
Yeah, I get you. There's like different degrees of beefs. And it's obviously true that like some beefs might even disappear sometimes when it's like you stand together. Like the England in the World Cup. It's like if there's a Manchester United and a Man City player playing, it's no beef. So yeah, basically, but yeah.
And like if there's a black mayor running, for New York City mayor, then the Puerto Ricans and the whites gang to they stand strong together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Against that. So yeah,
which is kind of beautiful, I think.
Yeah, and I guess the whites and the Jews would be like Man United versus say Arsenal. An old beef. Something that's it's a historic one, but it's not that big compared to their new modern beefs. So there we go. That's a good comparison to end. Let's conclude. Michael, you go first.
So basically, there are some issues with this film. I think so. There's kind of the two issues. The main issue I addressed was I think in Tony's characterization. I just think it took something quite substantial away from like the impact of the film in terms of the plot and the characterization, and I guess ultimately the emotions and morality of it. So that's not a small thing. Minor criticisms of the kind of structure of the plot and some of the music, but actually no. Generally speaking, I think this is probably my favorite soundtrack from like a classic musical film. Obviously, when you get into things like Disney and stuff like that, you can maybe say there's some contenders, but in terms of just like musicals, live action musicals, I guess this is probably my favorite soundtrack. I actually think there are a pretty substantial number of bangers, and while obviously America stands head and shoulders above the rest, I think the A Boy Like That Killed You is very intense, and I also think the music is quite well incorporated into the plot, mostly in terms of actually advancing it, but obviously I would still say there's some issues in terms of stuff that's developed with the romance and things. There is a lot going on in the film. The main strength, I think, is the artisticness of it. I do think it's effective. Obviously, your big beef, which I should address because otherwise I will have not addressed it, is the whole like idea that actually the beef itself is not very substantial. And I think I'm kind of willing to give that slightly more of a pass. It does genuinely bother me, but mostly from a characterization standpoint. But I'm kind of just willing to say, well, you know what? It's almost like it's a musical. It's a kind of, it's one of those things where like people can literally be dancing with each other, and you're supposed to interpret it as a fight. And that's just a thing that happens in musicals sometimes. Okay, like people just dance with each other. It's like, oh man, that was the most brutal fight I've ever seen. It's like, well, that's just how they do it. Anyway, high 7.
High 7. Okay, so I am going to give this one. So high 7. That's not that high.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I was thinking about low 8, but no, I wasn't going to go super high.
Okay, I'm going to give this one probably a 5 out of 10 because ultimately I will say there are some things I just don't find believable about the fact that Maria loves Tony so much. I just can't get past
because of his build.
I can't get past. Yes, because of the build. I can't get past how ridiculous the gangs are. I can't get past how ridiculous the whole concept is of these intimidating people dancing. I'm sorry. They just. I get what they're doing, and some people say, oh no, that's what makes it so good. Like, oh, you're making these hard. Or these menacing, intimidating people dance, in a musical. Isn't that great?
It's like the gay steel mill.
Yeah, exactly. It is like the gay steel mill. It is. But no. Of course, there are some things like, I like the visuals, but again, you consider the plot. Of course, it's just a Romeo and Juliet rehash. It's been done before, you know what's coming. It's not that great either. So, yeah, and some of the songs, of course, we have to mention. America is great. Some of them aren't that memorable, but yeah, that one sticks out well, and we do like the themes, even though one of the themes is undercut by the casting of Maria. But yeah, so it's okay, it's fine. Like 5 out of 10, meh. I don't really like it that much, but you know what, it's okay. Yeah, I can see why it was revolutionary at the time, but it's nothing special today, and I'm sure the 2021 one will blow it out the water, Michael. So of course we now have to predict what we think that will get on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah,
so,
I'm not
Michael,
sure, but yeah.
Do you have a number in your head?
A very tentative number, yes, but I'm going to go for it.
Okay, let's do the old 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1.
92.
93.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god.
We do this every time. To be fair, isn't there one difference between us? So
we're tied.
Oh, are we tied? Oh, that's even more exciting.
So we're tied, and so one of us is going to take a 1-point lead. I mean, that's the thing. Steven Spielberg, he knows how to make a good movie. I mean, this is probably going to be very good and people who review movies, they like this kind of stuff. As we saw from In the Heights, only got like 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. Anyway, what are we doing next week, Michael?
Next week we are doing Spider-Man Far From Home to celebrate the release of Spider-Man No Way Home.
No Way Home.
What is it with these home titles, eh?
I don't know. I just think they did. I think they thought it sounds good. The first one, Homecoming, and then No Way Home, and now it's just the theme. But anyway,
Guess
Michael,
he must be a house spider.
Yes. So thank you for listening. We've been selecting and reflecting on West Side Story, and join us next week for Spider-Man Far From Home. Who have you been, Michael?
I've been Michael.
I've been Luke. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye. It all began. Goodbye.